here. Today we'll be discussing our project, a home healthcare device for monitoring newborn jaundice, under our advisor, Dr. Schultz. I'm Ugochi, Ezekwo.
I'm Avesar. I'm
Granelli.
I'm Lauren Richards. A little background on our project. Jaundice, 60% of newborns are experience jaundice, and this is due to the underdeveloped liver, which insufficiently excretes deficient, doesn't really excrete the bilirubin like it should, so you will end up with an excess amount of bilirubin levels in the body. And bilirubin is a yellow pigment, so jaundice will be indicated by a yellowing of the skin and the eyes. Risk will include cerebral palsy, deafness, and because of the immaturity of the blood-brain barrier of the child, there will be brain damage. Treatment, not usually necessary, but phototherapy is advised, and in extreme cases, exchange transfusion is recommended. This is a table of our relevant bilirubin levels. One thing to notice is that the ranges of the bilirubin levels and its implications changes with the. One thing to notice is that the bilirubin levels and their implications, their treatment changes with the ages of the child. So this is one thing that we'll implement in our skin models. Our objective was to develop a cost-effective home healthcare device to non-invasively monitor newborn jaundice. One thing to notice is there's already a device available, which is the VIII. However, this is $5,000, $6,000 resale price, and this can only be used by professionals. So we're aiming to make this available for home providers and parents, and so that they can monitor their children at home. Our goals included building a circuit that eliminates ambient light, creating skin models containing hemoglobin, melanin, and various concentrations of bilirubin, discern these different concentrations, and verify our data using vernier instruments.
So this slide shows the absorbance spectrum of the chromophores and the top one right here. And so the idea is we can use a 470 nanometer LED to detect changes in bilirubin. And these two right here are so we can extract melanin's fairly linear absorbance spectrum and predict what the contribution of the absorbance would be at over here. So we can subtract out the melanin, get something like this, and then account for differences in skin tones essentially. So the hemoglobin one was, if necessary, we could take our reading from the bilirubin and divide it to get a sort of bilirubin to hemoglobin ratio, assuming that the hemoglobin remains constant in each individual as the bilirubin changes.
Okay, and here's a schematic of what we use to carry out the fabrication of our device. So it's important to note that this schematic was originally used for campaigns, and we were going to transport it into the reluctant setup, so we had to modify the setup in that way. Some important features of the circuit are the LED. Here they use a trifilament single LED, but as we discussed before, we use 4 individual LEDs. And then so the light would be reflected on the sample, and then the reflected backlight would be detected by this photodetector. The signal would go through these filters that have a band pass frequency of around 1 kilohertz. And something important about our circuit is that our LEDs are also strobing at 1 kilohertz. So the synchronization of these parts make it so that our signal is as accurate as possible in terms of it being the light that was only interacting with the sample. Our initial concept of the device we wanted was to have an LCD that would read out relevant concentrations, but we had lots of issues troubleshooting the circuit, and one of the major ones was the LCD output, and we determined that that wasn't entirely necessary to acquire data, so we transferred our focus to the final device setup, which is shown on the right, and we collected voltages directly from the circuit after it had been filtered through the different components, and we used Elvis to facilitate this process.
Okay, so as Ugochi stated earlier, we did make skin models for skin phantoms. So we went through 3 steps to do these. Initially, we did the individual components that's seen on the far left. We did solutions first, and then we prepared them in gelatin hydrogels. So bilirubin and hemoglobin are pictured. We did these to verify that our spectra are actually appropriate in gelatin because there might be interactions or whatnot. So once once we confirmed that, we moved on to a 4-compartment model and a 3-compartment model. The difference being that the 3-compartment model has the hemoglobin and bilirubin that are combined into one. And what we did note is that the 4-compartment model actually gave less intense values. So we negated this and went with the 3-compartment model because we wanted to have the most intense output for our detector to actually help us get more data and make it more meaningful. So this is actually a close-up of our skin model. These thicknesses, other than the fat layer, are physiological and they're scaled up. Physiologically speaking, the epidermis is around 0.5 millimeters, so we both basically doubled that. Also note that the fat layer is around 8%. We decided that was a little too much, so we scaled that down to 5 millimeters. And then our hemoglobin and bilirubin compartment was 4 millimeters. For the actual component concentrations, as Ugochi was saying earlier, the concentrations vary for different days with dangers. So the risks posed by the first day were different from the second day and third day. So we have those concentrations. And then as far as hemoglobin, we picked one with literature values, which happened to be 20 milligrams per milliliter.
Okay, our bilirubin arrived as a lyophilized powder, so what we have to do is dissolve it and pH adjusted to 7.8. So to confirm our composition of our bilirubin, we calculated the molar coefficient at 455 nanometers. We came up with a coefficient of 11,826, and this matched literature at 455, which was 10,750. So this verifies that our bilirubin map still maintained its spectral properties even in the gelatin, and that our LED selection was a perfect fit.
Okay, another factor that we needed to consider was how we were going to take the reflectance measurements and set up us optimal for that. So the top left shows our very beginning of figuring out what reflectance would be good. From that situation, we learned that the detector was too far from the sample, and not just that, but that the light source we used was too intense. So most of the signal we were picking up was just the light that we were actually shining out. So we moved into different scenarios, and we ultimately chose the two pictures on the bottom, which are different views of the same thing. On the bottom right, you see the underside of the holder. The four LEDs are in the corner, and they're angled towards the center, so pointing down. And the detector would be in the center of the holder itself, so that it would hold the most. It would hold the most signal. It would collect the most light at that point.
So we wanted to test if our circuit could in fact actually filter out ambient light. So we created a setup where we had a dark box and then another setup with simulating light with an intense flashlight. And so we measured the signal from 470 nanometer LED at fixed wavelengths. And the signal would be like the raw signal minus the baseline. And so you can see that the actual signal is pretty comparable. And while taking the data, we did notice that the voltages were like fluctuating. So there's going to be like natural variations, probably due to like the filtering in components of the circuit.
So from there, we needed to calibrate our device, which we did with some neutral density filters. As you can see in the higher ranges, of percent transmittance, it's fairly linear. But unfortunately, in the lower range of percent transmittance, all the LEDs and their respective percent transmittance tend to level out. So this shows that our circuit isn't as sensitive as we hoped it to be for those darker situations.
All right, so this is the setup essentially for reflectance. This area here is a cross section of the voltage that Lauren showed you earlier. And so the LEDs are angled in a way so that they illuminate the section of the skin model that's right underneath the detector to maximize efficiency. So when we actually tested it with our device, filtering the ambient light and everything like that, we weren't able to see any readings with any of the skin models that were basically like above baseline. We even tried different LED angles, different like configurations, like just trying pure bilirubin and gelatin, but we couldn't get anything. But we wanted to prove that our device could still do something. So we're trying to investigate what about the device isn't sensitive. Is it the device itself or the photodetector from the device? So we took the photodetector out of the device and measured the raw signal of that. So we were able to see some changes here, and we correlated that to like a standard like vernier photodetector. However, the relationships weren't meaningful. So like we were able to see numbers. So pretty much we learned that the circuit itself, the filtering components and everything deteriorates with the sensitivity, not the photodetector. So some reasons for why our reflectance couldn't be working, we think it's mainly due to this distance between the sensor and the sample. But there's also, you have to think about the differences in height between the LED and the detector, because there's going to be some of that light going straight into the detector. But we also created like a little funnel so that only light that's coming from straight underneath, like right here, would be entering the detector. But we still couldn't get any meaningful trends in our reflectance data. And so it could be that just the physics of that isn't understood.
All right, so as John said, our reflectance setup actually wasn't ideal. So we decided to turn over a new leaf and look at transmission data. So this is our setup for transmittance. Basically, you have a LED light source, a detector, and our sample. So the light goes through the sample, we measure transmittance. Here's our device capability transmittance with our circuit. Again, the trends show there is no trend. Basically, we didn't have enough sensitivity to get the acquired data that we wanted. So then we looked at the commercial available instruments. To the left, we have vernier. To the right, we have our photodetector, which is separated from the circuit. And these actually do show correct trends. So the blue line is the bilirubin, and the red line is melanin. So what we were expecting is that with higher concentrations of bilirubin, the transmission should be decreased, and that is actually seen here. And ironically enough, the photodetector is actually performing better than the vernier in our data, because we have a flat line here, and then this still shows a decrease in transmittance for bilirubin.
So in summary, we were able to construct an ambient light filtering and light detecting circuit. We were able to create sexual skin models with different concentrations and discern the different bilirubin concentrations using transmittance and the photodetector, the linear reflex sensor.
We organized pretty much if future work was to be done on this project, how it could be improved. Like I said earlier, the geometry to optimize reflectance, playing with the angles of the LEDs, differences in height between the detector and the LEDs, and mainly the distance between the detector and the sample. Also, different voltages with LEDs can be tried to change their intensities, because there may be some scattering relationship that's unknown. And then for increasing the sensitivity of the circuit, we proposed to try to increase the gain of the operational amplifiers, which could increase that. And so in conjunction with the working photodetector, the device can be working.
So now we're doing a demonstration of our
Here's our circuit that we mentioned earlier. And, and one thing to notice is our transmission data was acquired in a non-ambient light setting. So since this room is kind of well lit compared to what we did, our data may be a little variant from what we expected. John will be using the 0.10 milligrams per milliliter bilirubin layer of the skin model. And the reading is 23.6 millivolts. So what we expect is as we increase in bilirubin levels, we are expecting less transmitted light to come back. Now we'll be using our 0.15 milligrams per milliliter bilirubin level. And this read is 9.4 millimoles. So as compared to 23, you can tell it just dropped. This is our 0.18 milligrams per milliliter concentration. And this is 8.9 millimoles. And last but not least, 0.2 milligrams per milliliter. And this is 8.3 millimoles. So this was a successful part of the data.
Have time for maybe one or two quick questions. As you increase concentration does drop, actually, but there's a huge drop right at the beginning.
Yeah.
And then you spread out that range of
We did notice that there was a large drop when we did it also in the dark. But I think this was like, I don't know what happened, it was a little exaggerated. Because it's like, even when I hold on myself, it's like really highly sensitive on it, right? So I'm not,
Measurements in the dark.
It's so good at 23.
yeah. Yeah, it's not really.
Any other questions for this group?
Because we're not distant too far away from the real. We can use much and 30 detectors. And also you can usually expand the detector now the detectors to the real device on any side of the detector.
Were you referring to the reflections? Yeah, I think that was one of the main concerns. We wanted to bring it really close to the sample.
So you can enlarge the area for the detector.
Yeah, but we don't know if it's like, yeah, like it could be that, like, 'cause we're still getting a signal. We just don't know if it's like that's
We'll
good.
get out to collect as much photons as possible.
Then we'll take another quick break until 2:45.